Good evening. On behalf of the PG Department of Computer Science, I invite you all to this webinar. Let's get started. To begin the webinar, I invite and request Dr. J. Isaac Nyanraj, Assistant Professor of our department, to lead us in prayer.
Let us pray. Our loving, heavenly, gracious Father, we thank you for this blessed evening. Lord, we thank you that you gathered us for this knowledge sharing. Lord, we thank you for all the blessings that you bestowed in our life, especially, Lord, we pray for the resource person, Dr. Vijay Solomon. Lord, let your presence, let your Holy Spirit fill with him. You just guide him, you just give your wisdom and knowledge that whatever he is going to present today, let it be a blessing, let it be helpful, let it be informative to all those who are all gathered here. We submit each and every one of us in your mighty hand. We submit this event in your mighty hand, Lord. Bless us, bless this event, and bless the rest of the time. We pray in the matchless name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, sir. I now call upon Dr. S. Kavita ma'am to give the welcome address.
Pleasant good evening to all. I must thank you giving opportunity to welcome this gathering. Thank you to you, every one of you, for being here, able to welcome the webinar, Postdoctoral Studies. We are pleased to be able to welcome this webinar. Before we started, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to convener and co-convener of this webinar, Dr. Sobha sir, Head of the department, and Jamima ma'am, who generously helping us to make this webinar become success. In today's gathering, we have so many doubts and queries regarding the postdoctoral fellowship. Sure, it will be clear at the end of the webinar by our research person, Dr.R.Vijay Solomon. He is the Assistant Professor in Madras Christian College, Chennai from 2016. He was postdoctoral associate in University of South Carolina, US, and he was postdoctoral fellow in University of Basel, Switzerland. And one of the main thing is he is our alumni in the master degree. He has published 45 peer-reviewed journals, and he received major research project from DST and project on chemical education from UBE, CHEA from USA. And also he received so many awards, from that 4 Best Paper Awards, Swiss Excellence and Scholarship from University of Basel, Early Career Research Fellowship from DST, MCC Alumni Research Publication Award in Science. And his interested area is theoretical and computation, density functionality theory, weak interaction, heterogeneous catalysis. I don't like to take much more time for you. So very warm welcome to each and every one of you. Thank you very much for listening. And let us welcome Dr. Vijay Solomon, sir. Welcome, sir. Thank you to all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I now invite Dr. M. Jaykumar, sir, to deliver the presidential address.
Good evening, everybody. On behalf of Department of Computer Science, a warm welcome to our resource person, Dr.R.Vijay Solomon, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, Madras Christian College, Chennai. Welcome you, sir. Welcome to our Principal, Dr. Paul Dayabaran, sir. Welcome to our Head of the Department of Computer Science, Associate Dean of International Relations and Convener of this webinar, Dr. Sober Sumail David. Welcome to co-convener of this webinar, Dr. R. Jamima Priyadarsini. Welcome to our staff members and research scholar from Department of Computer Science and faculty from various Department of Doctoral College. Welcome you all. Today webinar topic is postdoctoral studies. Our research begins when we want to know something. Our research is concerned with increasing our understanding. Our research provides us with the information and knowledge needed for problem solving and making decisions. Our research is one of the major component of postdoctoral fellowship. Research is a continuous investigation process to enrich our skills. Researcher thinking is a T format. A T means a combination of horizontal and vertical thinking to produce a good result. Research is defined as a creation of new knowledge and the use of existing knowledge in a new and a creative way so as to generate new concepts, methodologies, and understandings. A researcher acquires new knowledge from existing knowledge. A research to play a vital role in teaching community. Without research, not able to achieve anything. Most of our faculty members to completed Ph.D. degree, they are interested to join postdoctoral fellowship, sir. We are waiting for your inputs and suggestions, sir. Thank you, sir.
Let's start.
Sir,
Yeah.
I request MN, sir, Professor M. Newbegin, sir, to kindly introduce the chief guest to us.
Good evening, friends and my dear colleagues. Good evening, friends and my dear colleagues. I'm grateful to introduce the chief guest of today's webinar, Dr. Vijay Solomon. And there is always an umbilical connection between Madras Christian College and Bishop Weber College. And here is the witness, Dr. Vijay. And he is a man of fast track. Within a short period of time, he achieved a lot. And now he's in, I hope that he is in a safer hands. He is a native of Palayamkotte, Tirunelveli. Done his bachelor's in St. Xavier's, postgraduate in Bishop Heber, doctoral degree in Bharatdasan University, postdoctoral in Switzerland, postdoc associate in United States of America, University of South Carolina. And he has been awarded and rewarded with various academic achievements, as Madam mentioned. A lot of research besties in his bucket list, so I don't want to list everything. And a major awarded, maybe one of the notable thing is he has been was awarded as Junior Research Fellowship, Senior Research Fellowship in Maulana Azad National Fellowship for the year 2009, 10, 11, 12 from University Grants Commission, UGC India. And he has published plenty of papers in well-reputed journals, invited for various webinars, and his research interests, research projects, it's going on like this. But two things I want to mention. The major research project of Dr. Vijay is under the scheme of Early Career Research Award 2008 with a worth amount of 35 lakhs with the funding agency of DST Serve India. And another research project with a scheme of United Board Institutional Grant with a funding amount of 10 lakh rupees from the period of 19 to 22, the funding agency of United Board United States of America. Apart from all these academics, he is a good leader, writer, orator, good brother of mine, a good friend of our department also, and child of God, a young dynamic person. He sincerely led various leadership forums through Chapel Prayer Fellowship in his college days. I hope that that humble beginning, God has lifted him to the greater heights. Despite of his lockdown schedule, he accepted our invitation to be a guest, and he is the prominent person to deliver today's topic, postdoc and postdoc paradigm. We are very happy and deem it pleasure to welcome once again on behalf of the Department of Computer Science, Dr. Vijay. Kindly explore the views and ideas in this research from Dr. Vijay. We are very happy and the platform is yours.
Yeah.
Thank you, Vijay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the nice introduction. And I'm always being very happy to be associated with Bishop Weber College. Everything begins here in Bishop Weber College. I still remember my days at the chapels and in the department in Muthamirvila and so on. So I always have a special place in my heart for Bishop Weber College. Okay, without much delay, let me start my discussion on postdoctoral fellowship. And if you want to really see that it should be a discussion, because we cannot, get experience of, swimming from a correspondence course. Okay. So if you want to, I would say that if you want to get swimming experience, we need to really jump into the pond. Of course, we need to have water there. Okay, so I would like to have a discussion kind of stuff here. When I asked to talk about postdoctoral fellowship, I really thought like how many minutes I can talk about that, because it's like experience. It's like, individual experience. I would say that some people might have got some way, and some people use different techniques and so on. So what I thought, okay, but I'll just try to get some questions from you, and I'm very happy Dr. Sobas has given a lot of questions from you, and I just designed my talk based on the questions, so that it enables us to have a fruitful, informative session here. Okay. Okay. I thank Lord Almighty for this wonderful opportunity to meet you virtually and to share some of the content that will be helpful to all of us. Okay. And I also thank Madras Christian College, which gives a job to me. When I completed my postdoc and I came here, I joined as an assistant professor in Department of Chemistry. I'm so thankful to my department and college, and of course I cannot forget about Bishop Iber College and the beautiful lively campus. Okay, I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity, especially the conveners, organizers, head of the department, and our friend Dr. New Begin, and so on. Thank you. Okay, some of the questions, I got a lot of questions and I pulled into 3 slides. I'll just let me read through, and then during the course of the discussion or the presentation, we can get to know about these questions, the answers for these questions. If not, also you can anytime you can stop me and you can ask. What is the difference between PhD and PDF? Can I pursue postdoc in India, or should I consider the abroad opportunity? Does it make sense to have a postdoc? Is it really necessary? Or any part-time or asynchronous or offline mode is possible for postdoctoral fellowship or studies? Whether we have to do the same kind of work in PhD as well as in postdoc, can we change the path? And whether the guide should be a postdoctoral fellow to guide us, how to approach the professors, and what are the key objectives to be achieved in the first phase of the postdoc, or what is the timeline one can stay in the postdoctoral field? What is expected from a postdoctoral fellow? How do people evaluate the performance? If PhD means you need to submit 2 papers and you need to write a thesis, do you need to go for the thesis or so? Difference between private deemed university and government university postdoc. Any reflections in future? Any implications? Will the period of stay to be taken into account for the work experience? Will I be able to take my postdoc project with me when I move on from one institution to other institution? What is expected from a postdoc? Again, how long one can do a postdoc? Any timeline, time frame? Can we send the same proposal to different countries and professors simultaneously to grab the opportunity? Okay, all these things are few questions I classified. I didn't put all the questions, but I got overwhelming response from you. I thank all the people, those who are contributing to the question bank here. I really express my heartfelt thanks to Sobas sir to coordinate this, and we'll try to look into that. And this actually helped me a lot in designing the entire talk, because I have never shared this content before. Okay, so I frame my outline in this way. I'll start with what is postdoc, what is the nature, what is expected from you, what you usually do there, and types of postdoctoral fellowships available, how to prepare some of the documents for postdocs, and how to approach a professor, because we need to have a host or a professor under which we need to do a postdoctoral fellowship, and some of the do's and don'ts that purely from my end. I try to collect some points from my experience, and I put some helpful links so that you can just go and browse through. Okay, I didn't define, I didn't give my own definition. I have actually taken from the National Science Foundation of United States, which came up with this definition. An individual who has received a doctoral degree or equivalent. So of course, if you want to have a postdoc, definitely you should have a PhD degree, and is engaged in a temporary and a defined period of mentored advanced training. So that should be advanced training to enhance the professional skills and research independence needed to pursue their chosen career path. So the definition is very raw. I want to highlight few things. The keywords I picked: it's a temporary, it is independent, and it will enhance the professional skills or research skills, and it will lead to the career path. So if these four keywords are there, then we can say that that's a beautiful postdoctoral fellowship. Okay, I'll move on. Postdoctoral fellowship is purely a research based. So it will focus on research work, sometimes a small amount of teaching, but in general, only 10% of the postdoc fellowships are demanding teaching as a part. And when the postdoc fellowships are called for, definitely they would have mentioned that the roles and responsibility of a fellow. So 90% you have to engage yourself with the research. Okay, so it's completely 100% research focused, distinct from PhD. It should not be a continuation of the PhD, the work that you carried out in India. It should be a new project, and it is not like a thesis to book, or you don't want to come up with a book. You don't want to come up with a review article as a postdoc, or you don't want to submit a thesis for a postdoc. So it is different from PhD, even though it is a research work. And I said that it should lead to the career path. So basically, the idea behind postdoctoral fellowship is to make you to get a good academic permanent position. So academic career preparation, it is a platform where it gives all the inputs for you to prepare yourself for a better researcher or a scientist or a research professor or a professor. So we can say that expected ambition towards permanent academic positions. So I mentioned that in the definition, that is a temporary or a defined period. You don't want to have a postdoc of 15 years or 20 years and so on. It can be a very short stay, and so that you can proceed further from that. Then why do we need to have a postdoctoral study? So broaden the research experience in a particular field. Of course, we know about the reality of the PhD in India, or for the matter in university or IIT. What we are doing in PhD is most of the time the replication of what has been done in the same group. If some people have done with copper nanoparticle, I'm referring to my field, like, I joined as a new PhD student, my guide will say, okay, that fellow has done on copper. Why didn't you look at the periodic table and say that, okay, you can do it in nickel? Most of the time we are doing such kind of work here. But in postdoctoral study, you will completely exposed to a different research experience altogether, and you will give a full freedom to explore different avenues available in that field. So broaden the research experience. Training on independent research, the second important keyword that I picked from the definition is independence. So it should be a completely independent research. Of course, you will be allotted to work under a professor or principal investigator or a supervisor, but you will take a lot of responsibility on your shoulder to progress the research work that you are intended to do on your own. So it gives a complete freedom, and your hands will not be tied there. Leading a small group, guiding PhD master's students during the postdoctoral stay in abroad or in India, which means that you will gain the leadership skills, and it will give a small prelude to have an independent research group once you complete the postdoc. So if you have completed a postdoc, definitely you know how to design a group, how to define your lab culture, and so on. So how to give the thesis works and so on. So leading a small group will be a part of a postdoctoral study. Make contacts with peers in your field. Of course, when you have a postdoctoral experience, you will be getting a lot of opportunities to meet different people from different domains in your field, and it will give a better access to different scientists and peers in your field. That will give a forum to exchange a lot of ideas, especially research ideas, and you can always discuss with your new research ideas in the domain. Enhance research skills, of course, the limited opportunities available in research in India will not be there when you go for postdoc in different institutes of excellence, and you can really enhance your research skill, and you can shift your gears in exploring the new domains. And as I mentioned, that you don't want to have any restrictions, and definitely if you are willing to learn new things, definitely it is possible there. Gain experience in writing grant fellowship applications. Of course, publishing paper will be a part of a PhD, but if you come to a postdoc, you need to elevate your level to writing grants and fellowship applications. So that is more important and one of the expectations from a postdoc. Of course, publish, and you need to have a good publication track record so that you can fit into a good permanent position in the coming years. So that all these things are a purpose of a postdoctoral fellow. And postdoctoral trainee or postdoctoral fellowship, postdoctoral fellow or postdoctoral associate is heavily paid from a specific research grant. So it is not a training. We'll simply say that it is not a training, or it is not a fellowship or a scholarship. It is an employment, and you will be paid and you need to work. And there will be a tax implications because you will be considered as a salary person. You are getting a salary on a monthly basis. So you need to go ahead with the regulations of the canton or city or a state in abroad. And then you should always clarify all those things with the salary, provision, family, medical insurance, all these things with your professor before signing the agreement. Okay. So eligibility criteria. What is eligibility? I said that yes, you need to have a PhD. Apart from that, what are the things that you need? And every fellowship program will have the guidelines. I picked one from this Clemson University fellowship. And here, if you look at that, the candidate CV, the few things are very, very important. The CV plays a vital role. If you want to get a postdoctoral fellowship, you should build your CV. Okay, so you should have a very good CV. 2-page research proposal written by the candidate. It is not a copied content. It is not some other's idea. It is your own idea. So you need to have a comprehensive understanding about the research works that are going on in your field. And based on that, your proposal should be written. And then a statement of support from 3 faculty members, that is a recommendation letter or a consent letter from the host that you need to get. A memo from the department chair and dean supporting the mentorship and so on. Okay, so mainly you need to get a CV, you need to have very good CV, you need to have a very good proposal, and you need to have a consent letter. Yes, I agree to take this particular person in my group as a postdoc. So you need to have that consent letter from the host professor. Apart from that, you need to have at least 2-3 recommendation letters from your supervisor and doctoral committee member and so on. And some of the other formalities, it will depend on the fellowship, the kind of fellowship that you are applying. I'll move on to the types of fellowships. Fellowships are 3 kinds. In general, I am saying, because there is no classification. This I classified from my experience. There are individual fellowship, institution fellowship, and professors fellowship. Individual fellowship means there are fellowships called for from different agencies, countries, and premier bodies, scientific bodies. And for example, let's say Commonwealth Fellowship. So Commonwealth is an entity or an organization which is offering a postdoctoral fellowships to people, and any individuals with the qualification can apply. So if you obtain a fellowship, which means the salary from that fellowship, definitely it will be called as an individual fellowship. There are around 560 fellowships available, individual fellowships available. If you go and search for each country, Germany, if you take, there are 30 to 40 fellowships, individual fellowships, and so on. So many fellowships, Alexander Van Humboldt Fellowship, and so on. I listed few here in the coming slides. The second one is institution fellowship. So institution is having some number of fellowships, and they will be called for that, and there will be a team approving the appointment of the postdoctoral fellowships. Again, here you want to get a consent letter from the professor. The same thing is applicable to individual fellowship. Even though if you apply for individual fellowship or award, definitely you need to get a consent from a professor. The same thing is applicable to the institution. I listed few. And then the third one is a postdoctoral fellowship is available in the professors group. For example, a professor got a huge funding. In that funding, how we are giving JRF and SRF, or from project we are giving salary to the JRF or a project fellow. Similarly, they will hire postdoc to carry out such works. So professors fellowship. So in general, I would say that these three types of fellowships available, and you need to change your approach for these three fellowships. I'll start with the individual fellowships. Okay. So what are the things that you need to look for? Watch out for the call. What I used to do whenever I browse through the net, and if I find some people, some resource person, I'll just immediately go through their CV and what are the awards that they got. Immediately I will Google it when the call is coming. What is eligibility? Am I eligible to apply for that? If that is the case, I will mark that in my calendar. And if I miss that date, let's say April 15th is the last date, I missed that. I saw the call only on April 30th. Then I'll just make a note of it. Okay, next year, February, I need to look for that. So you need to watch out for the call. You can come up with your own calendar to have the information about different fellowships. Look for eligibility, because whether the PhD certificate is essential, are they mentioning about that? Or they may say that at least 10 publications in SCI indexed journals. Look for that, or any other thing, like at least like you should apply to this particular fellowship within the 3 years of your completion of your PhD by OS examination. So all these things you need to look for. Find a host professor, look for the fellowship, and then the country. If it is for the Germany, then you need to find a host professor or the professor under which you want to work. So you need to find a host professor, get a consent from the professor. It is not about like I know him or I searched him and he has to accommodate me. No, that is not possible. We need to convince them to accept us as a student or as a postdoc. Draft a proposal. Okay, any application needs proposal, and we cannot say that no application without proposal is not there. So you need to write a proposal. Proposal is nothing but a research idea. This will be from 2 pages to 8 pages or 10 pages. Again, it depends upon the eligibility or the requirements laid down by the fellowships. Prepare documents, and apart from the proposal, you need to prepare your CV. You need to prepare some other documents, for example, certificates, some medical certificates from doctors, and so on. So, for example, when I applied for a Swiss Excellence Scholarship, they ask us to produce a medical certificate from the doctor. So the format was given there, and then we took printout and we went to the hospital. It was filled by the doctor and signed and sealed and so on. So you need to look for the documents. What are the things that are essential? Craft a careful statement of purpose or motivation letter, which plays a vital role. Why do you interested in this particular fellowship? How do you match your research experience that you got from the PhD, and how you want to transform from here to the next domain, and how best you fit into that particular research group. All these things you need to mention that. And this is like I picked from one of the applications that I sent. So online application form, curriculum vitae, research proposal, list of publications, copy of publications, reference letter from host, that is a consent letter, reference letter from research supervisor, of course, my PhD guide, and university registration certificate, or we call that as a PhD convocation certificate, or some mark statements and so on. Of course, master's degree, bachelor's degree, 2 copy of photo, and additional certificate like the extra trainings, conferences, some other courses, awards, and other things. Okay, all these things are checklist that I applied. When I applied, I used this. But one thing you need to very careful about that, the reviewers, those who are going to scrutinize your application, and they will be evaluating your application, and the marks will be given, and based on that only the selection will be made, because most of the time the selections are fair and the reviewers are very smart. They will quickly pick the essence of the proposal and the weight of the candidate in that particular domain, and the reviewers are highly accomplished, and they will really get into the objectives framed by you in the proposal, and they are very dedicated. They will go through each and every point that is given in the proposal. And of course, we need to remember that they are very busy, overloaded, and they are always busy in research, and of course they may not be knowledgeable in all the details, but they know how to look into the crux of the proposal. So we need to match these two paradigms, and we need to prepare our proposal. I said that this is the Irving S. Siegel postdoctoral fellowship. This is given in American Chemical Society, one of the premier societies in chemistry. So when this call came, many people asked sir, shall I apply? But if you look at that, the eligibility says candidates are nominated by the chairs of PhD granting chemistry departments in the United States. Individuals are not able to submit an application without being nominated. So if you prepare your application and if you submit, this is meaningless, because they clearly mention that what is expected from you, what is eligibility criteria we are looking for this particular fellowship. Now, this is the Alexander van Humboldt Fellowship, one of the premier fellowships in science from Germany. This is the other one, Swiss Government Excellence Scholarship or Fellowship for PhD and Postdoc. So this is again one of the premier and the toughest scholarships or fellowships available. The other one, the Marie Curie Foundation, gives a number of fellowships to work or to be a postdoc in Europe. Especially many good funding possibilities available with Marie Curie Fellowship. So you can keep on track of all those websites and try to match the expectations of these highly tough competitive fellowships. And if you get any one of the fellowships, it will be very great, both in financial as well as the academic status. If you have a Marie Curie or if you have Alexander van Humboldt Fellowship, you can directly get into IIT, because that is one of the topmost fellowships one can think of in their own field, especially in science. The other one is the Dean's Postdoctoral Fellowship Program from Harvard. And this is an example of an institution fellowship. So far, we have seen Alexander van Humboldt or Swiss Excellence Scholarship or Marie Curie Fellowship and so on. There are plenty of Commonwealth Fellowships. All these fellowships are the individual fellowships. Individuals should contact a professor, and the funding will be given by the organization which is going to sponsor you. And you can convince a committee through your CV, proposal, and all other application. And if you get, you can go and do a postdoctoral, and salary will be given by the agency. Here, the Dean's Postdoctoral Fellowship by the Harvard. So similarly, like every institution will have their own postdoctoral program. So these options are available for the individuals can work in that particular institute. For example, if you want to apply for Dean's Postdoctoral Fellowship, you should find a guide or a supervisor or a principal investigator or a host in Harvard University. You cannot go and find something in Imperial College London and so on. Okay, so that is a difference. IIT Madras is giving postdoctoral opportunities. You can see that Institute Postdoctoral Fellowship. So there are guidelines, application format. You need to find a host, convince them, get a consent letter, and you can apply. As a committee will be there that will be scrutinizing your application. If you get that, definitely you can go and join as a postdoc in that institute or the laboratory, and you will be paid heavily. I think now the salary for the for postdoctoral fellow in IIT is 55,000 plus, approximately, I think, and IIT Bombay is crossing 65,000 per month. So that is a opportunity available here. And of course, there are other opportunities, postdoctoral fellowship for women with break in career and so on. You can just browse through all the IITs and ICERs or central universities for postdoctoral opportunities. They are all termed as institutional postdoctoral fellowships. And one more thing, University of Zurich in Switzerland, University of Pittsburgh in US. And the third category is like professor's position. If you look at that, some of the open postdoc positions available with the research group. Research group means if I'm heading a group, I can offer a postdoctoral position to any fellow as long as I have funding. If I got a funding from a funding agency and I can accommodate a postdoctoral fellow and I can give the salary and I can execute the work. And basically it is a work, it is an employment and research work. Purely I need to deliver the task which I promised through when I submitted the grant. So this is one of the option, like open postdoc position. You can always search postdoc position plus computer science plus open. So you can get something. So this is my US group. Every website, every professor's website group page, you can find job openings. You can see postdoctoral fellowships, currently none available. If they have the fellowship opportunities, they will say currently one fellowship is available, then you can contact. But they also mention about the doctoral scholarships are available to outstanding students for graduate studies in the following area. So they mentioned the area. One thing I like with my postdoc supervisor is he's very tough. He's a German and he's very clear in what is expected from the postdoctoral fellow. So read the guide for PhD students and postdoc fellows aiming for successful career in science. What is the expectation of a supervisor? So he sent this mail a long back. If you look at that, ultimately, we need to have at least 4 out of these things: extremely motivated, creative, very smart, very hardworking, very skillful in the lab or at the computer. Since I am from a computational chemistry, he mentioned that, are very lucky. And you need to have at least 4 out of these 6 qualities. If you do not have these things, please leave my lab. That is what he said when I was there. So we need to be very creative, very smart, hardworking. Nothing can be, replacing all these qualities. You need to have these qualities inherently into in your character. Otherwise, this is not a good place. Okay, you can also go and find the same thing by the Queensland Institute of Medical Research and their guidelines. This is the other one. This is a famous person in my research domain from Canada. He said open position. When I clicked that, they said I am not actively looking for new postdocs right now, and I do not have any extra funding to do so. However, in general terms, interested persons with an excellent, they said really excellent publication record and a strong, another exclamatory mark to give emphasize, strong background in quantum chemistry, quantum chemical program development, or inorganic chemistry may contact me at any time, especially if partial or full external funding. The external funding means here is the fellowships, individual fellowships. So he said he is ready to accommodate people if you are coming with your own fellowship. I can give my lab space as long as if you have a proven publication track record and a strong background which overlaps with the research interest. He also gave his expectations in his LinkedIn page. So if you want to read about that, you can just Google it with his name, research group of Professor H. George from Canada. And he wrote how to write a letter to the professor, what is expected from you as a young and dynamic researcher, what you should aspire for, and all these things he mentioned here. And he strongly encouraged people to go through all these guidelines. How to prepare? Because when I asked about one particular fellow in my group, where he was about to complete his PhD at that time, and he said, I have submitted my thesis and I have to wait for 2 weeks for his thesis to be defended. And it is like, unlike here, we will wait for vivos for years or months together. In abroad, it will be 2 weeks or 3 weeks or maximum 1 week's time. So he said, 2 weeks, I'm going to put, leave. I don't want to come to the laboratory. I would like to prepare my postdoc application. So I said, I'll come for the viva. And after that also, I want to take a break of 1 month to prepare my postdoc application. You see, he took 1 month for the preparation of the postdoc. application. So that is very, very important. Unless you aspire for it, don't come here. Okay, what are the things that are very, very essential to think about a postdoc? Identify your research domain. What you aspire for, you want to be a research professor, or if you really have interest in research. If not, if you say that research is not my cup of tea, but if I get a postdoc, it would be good if it will decorate my CV and I can earn a lot. That is also there. Okay, if that is the case, then that is not the best place for you. Up-to-date knowledge in a particular domain. You might have done PhD 10 years back or 5 years back or last year, and whatever you did, you are satisfied with that, 2 publications with the thesis, and you have a YOS examination. Now you are happily have a doctor, as a prefix in your name. And if you do not want to follow what is happening in your research domain, so that is not applicable to you. Which work appeals to you in the direction, scope, and originality? You might think a lot in PhD, but definitely everyone would have experienced that cannot be possible in India. Okay, when we start our PhD, we will say that, okay, I will do this and that. After 2 years, we'll say, at least I need to try that. At the end of 4th year, I need to somehow complete PhD. At the 5th year, exhausted totally. And you can come to the point where nothing can be done here. Whatever is there, we will complete somehow the PhD. So, but you need to have a direction, scope, originality in the domain. And if you really look to achieve that, then postdoc is the right opportunity. Does the field seem to be growing in that direction? Like I'm very much interested in, let's say, artificial intelligence. Okay, if suppose I'm like artificial intelligence in teaching and learning perspectives, this is mine. But now artificial intelligence is used for drug discovery. That is a direction by which the whole world is going on. And then if I don't change my attitude of having the conservative mindset of looking into teaching and learning with AI for the last 10 years or last 15 years, then definitely we cannot pursue postdoc. So you need to really think about the field and their relevance to the present context. Does this type of work seem to be the trend that I mentioned that, and that is growing? Whether that kind of research work is being the talk among your community, or many people are contemplating on the same issue because of the fact that that is essential to solve a real world problem, then that could be a good one. So you need to identify your research domain. So what I suggest is stay with the literature, read, and you need to have up-to-date knowledge, because as professors, we are always happy to have the same syllabus and same notes, and we want to go and deliver it in the class. No. If you want to be a successful researcher, you need to stay with the literature. So there are plenty of e-alerts now available. Identify your domain journals, give e-alert, it will populate your email. Of course, at least you can scroll through what type of titles are there in the research paper. And if you are interested, read the abstract. If you're really interested, read the entire paper. Okay, so that is more important to come up with the identification of a research domain. The next one is we need to have a host professor. So the choice of professor is very, very important. Does the work generated by this potential advisor generate new and interesting questions? It is not like that the same group is working on the same type of materials for years together and I want to go and adding data to data by my work. No, that is not a good way. So you need to find a professor who is very dynamic in publishing papers or patents. Does this individual have an impact on the field? If you say that suddenly, okay, drug designing, oh, this particular fellow, if you go and join as a postdoc in one of the reputed professors in that domain, if you say catalysis, okay, only 5% in the world are known for catalysis, and if you are fortunate to be one of them, then your life is secure and settled. So that is the whole point behind that, finding out the supervisor. Confer with your PhD guide and friends, get advice from many people before picking a professor and field. Okay, you can always get advices because it is freely given a lot in India, so you can get that. contact potential advisors at national meetings. Whenever you went for a conference, you go for a conference, you try to interact with those people, and with your research idea, you can discuss some research problems with them, so that you can get the contacts, and through that you can find a good guide. Speak with other present and past students and postdocs. When open call is there, you can interact with them. Now we have social media platform, and you can reach any sort of students, and you can talk about the group culture, publications, work, nature of the professor, and so on. Then the important thing is your CV. Publications are very, very important. If you do not have publication, don't spend your energy in applying for postdoc. Postdoc is meant for building an independent career, which means that you should have a very good, strong, foundation in terms of building your CV in research domain. So if you do not have publications, you work for publication and look for postdoc opportunities, and of course funding. Even that is not possible in India to get a funding as a PhD student, but definitely if you have a funding, it would be good. And outstanding research ideas, you need to convince your professor with your great ideas. Okay, so you need to read a lot, and you need to be very creative in writing a research proposal. Commitment to academic career, and you have to be very clear in your career or aspiration, or what is your passion. You need to know. If you are a passionate teacher, then you don't want to have a very good research experience. Instead, you can inspire students with your teaching. Or if you are a real researcher or a blending of research and teaching, then you can think of, but you need to have your career in mind before choosing a path. How well you fit into the group. Okay, so one of my friends said that he worked in experiment. I worked in a computational or theoretical field, and he said that okay, Solomon, if you find any postdoc positions in your group, you can refer me. I said, you are from experiment, how can I refer you? No problem, I will do that. No, that is not a good attitude, because nobody will take or hire a postdoc student and give training. That is not the expectation from the supervisors. They expect you to be on your toes all the time in giving results, because giving training, furnishing the language, developing the writing skills, all these things are applicable only to PhD students, not postdoc. Okay, postdocs are a way ahead from a student life. Then you need to have a good research idea in the research proposal. So I would say that I already told about it. It is distinct from the previous work. A well-written, original research proposal. So you need to write a very good proposal. Okay. And a realistic proposal. Okay. You cannot say that, okay, I joined there, within 3 months, I will come up with a different programming or different sort of catalysis, which will change the whole world. No, you need to be very careful in writing a proposal. It should be well-written without plagiarism. Okay, plagiarism is a criminal offense in abroad. So even if you copy one sentence, it will be considered as a plagiarism. Okay, and that is not considered as a plagiarism if you go and submit your thesis in university for plagiarism check. They will say that 20% it's fine. Now here, even if you copy one sentence, it's plagiarized content. That is unacceptable. Realistic proposal means it is not advisable to base the research proposal for the postdoc fellowship simply on publishing the PhD thesis in a book format, or what you have done in PhD, it is like a continuation of that. No, that is not the expected one. Rather, you need to say that how it will help me personally, and how it will fit into your research group, and how novel the idea is. All these things will make a beautiful proposal at your hand. And we need to write a good cover letter, stating your interest in having them as an advisor. Why do we want to choose you as a professor or a guide? So you need to state it very clearly in your cover letter or in your mail, suggesting aspects of their work you are interested in pursuing. So you might have done something in your PhD, and they are doing something different, and how you want to transform from here to there, and why do you want to transform, and how you will successful in matching the expectations of the professors that you need to suggest here. Then explaining your skills and overlapping expertise. Okay, of course, like if you give opportunity, I will do. So that most probably it's a false promise. If you cannot write a paper here in PhD, you definitely will not able to write a paper in your postdoc. So you need to explain your skills at the same time. You need to express like how good am I into your group. Proposing ways you might be able to assist in funding your own position. Mostly I said that I can join, or they may say that only 3 months fellowship available. Then you need to convince them, yes, I join, but I will write the proposal to different funding agencies inside the country and I will sustain myself. That is also there because they expect as a postdoc, you need to have your own funding. They'll be very happy to accommodate you if you come with your external funding or your own funding. Of course, sharing your research ideas in the mail in the form of a graphical abstract or flowchart will be very good. And that is a vast topic. It takes, cover letter will take an hour to discuss. So I'm just giving that thing. And I give a very simple content that I took from the internet when I was searching for this. How to write an email. Most of the time, what we do is someone has come up with the template, we will copy and paste it. Don't do that. If you do that, they will immediately track you. Okay, so that is not good. So you need to write email. It should contain 4 parts as far as myself is concerned. You should open with a personal greeting, and you need to say that what position you are applying for, whether it is for the individual fellowship, we can say asking them to be a consent or host for my application, or is it an institution fellowship, or is it against the open call, and highlight your relevance for that particular call or a fellowship. And you should strongly state this point, why they need to hire you. And you need to say that your character or qualities or research expertise, skills, achievements, and your training, how you can well fit within the research group, and what are the things that you can deliver if you are accommodated into the group. All these things you need to give, and special mention to the numbers. Like I published 25 papers, I published 12 papers, and 4 papers are in pipeline, and I submitted 2 research proposals for funding. Some numbers, if you put, that makes a huge difference into your email. And explain why this is the job that you want. The second part is like why they need to hire you. Why do you want to pursue your postdoc in this particular field, and with this laboratory, and with this guide, and through this fellowship? And after that, what do you want to do after completing this particular fellowship, Commonwealth fellowship for a 3-year period in your laboratory, which is going to give a plenty of publications and of course patents, will find me to get a position in IIT, one of the premier institutions in India. And that is my aim. For that I'm working, and for that, to reach that, I need this particular position. That you can say that. So if you need to clearly state that in the mail. Then you need to complete it, and when you complete your mail, you need to say that, like, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. I am looking forward to have a discussion through Zoom or Gmeet at your convenience, and so on, so that it will make the professor to say something in reply. One of my friends sent 400 mails on a given day to 400 professors, a template mail, and he said I got only 3 replies. And 3 of them said that don't copy and paste and send. What he said, he sent that like, dear madam. They said that like, Dr. Johnson, Mary. He doesn't know whether it's a she or he. So he said like Mr. or doctor, or like, saying that, Mr. or sir, madam. So better not to avoid that. So they said that don't copy paste your template mail. This is really not acceptable. So you need to write a good mail. For that, you need to take some time, carefully analyze, do your research, and then you write a mail. Okay, I picked these contents from this particular website. I will give all the websites that I referred for this presentation to you. Then if you look at that, recommendation letters are very, very important. Choose your referee. Of course, you can't miss your PhD guide. Apart from that, you can find 2 good professors And when you say that good professors, they should be a good researcher, because you are applying for a research position. And if you pick one of someone who never have any publications, then don't pick them. Okay, so they should be accomplished researchers so that they can give a good recommendation letter. That is the second point. And most of the time, the recommendation letters should be based on your CV, because you have to get 3 recommendation letters from 3 different people, and the 3 people are going to give a report on you, or on your profile, on your accomplishments, or your research field, your caliber, your potential, and so on. And if you look at that 3 professors letter, few things should be common. Otherwise, one fellow says he has an excellent communication skill. The other one may say that, may never think that he doesn't have any communication skill, or he doesn't have a pleasing manners, and so on. So they may not write it in a negative way, but they will not include that as a point. They will portray that you are a good leader because you prove yourself in the department as a head for 10 years, or as an organizer for this conference. That is not there, right? So you need to give a good CV, so that 3 people, if they are giving a recommendation letter, more or less they need to give a similar rating for your caliber. And be confidential, and don't want to, because most of the time what happens in India, we are writing letter for the guides. I will write, sir, you sign. And the important thing is, like, most of the time what happens, our language style is same, and that is not acceptable. Inform them well in advance, because now most of the applications are online, and as soon as you submit, the referee's name with their mail ID, the recommendation letter mail will go to them, and they have to fill online form. And if you do not inform them, it will be going into the spam. And after some time, when the guide or the referee realize that I got something, by the time the timeline would have gone. And as soon as you apply, you inform them and remind them about deadlines. Sir, you would have get a recommendation letter mail. Kindly give the recommendation letter. And carefully crafted recommendation letter is very, very essential, because what happened one time when I applied for a fellowship, one of my referees gave a very good recommendation letter, but what happens, he actually, the professor actually copy paste from different recommendation letters that he had. So what happens, like at the end, everything, like, I strongly recommend her for this fellowship. The whole point is gone, right? And in general, like, I'm a he, and he gave a recommendation letter with the letter like, I strongly recommend her. It's a typo, or it's like, just oversight he missed, but eventually I didn't get the fellowship. And one more thing, like, when I say that, dear selection committee, and my student or Dr. Vijay Solomon is applying for a postdoctoral position in University of Utah. Actually, I was applying for University of Clemson. Okay, so that if you have that kind of stuff, definitely it will put your application in a poor light. So be careful about that. So choose your referee carefully. And once you convince with your proposal or a mail or cover, immediately they will schedule an interview. So you need to be very careful in the interview. You should know the professors well before, the current research interest of that particular research group, lab members, the kind of projects that they are involved in, and you need to give a presentation. It should be a short, crisp, precise, and to the point presentation. And you need to match all your expertise with the expected domain, and you need to convince at the end, and be prepared to answer few questions. And at the same time, you should be also have some questions in your kit to ask them. Okay, so if you give a good interview, then it would be great. Usually they will select 4 to 5 members for one position. It's like 1:5, even though the applications are plenty. And you need to, they will interact with you, and they will say that after a week's time, I'll come back to you. And after a week, we can give a gentle reminder. Okay, that is important. So general guidelines, I would say that you need to be very careful in following the deadlines, stick on with the deadlines, and plan. If you want to go for a postdoctoral studies, look at the eligibility criteria. If this particular fellowship expects you to publish 10 papers, don't apply when you have 8 papers. Okay, and so on. And you need to get a complete profile by incorporating all the missing elements only when you did good research on the expectations. Draft, redraft, redraft, because that is very, very important. Many times you repeat many times you give attention to your proposal, it will be a fine proposal. Okay, we need to be very careful with that. Spend time in preparing the documents. Few expectations. Some people have asked about the few expectations. So I picked this particular from this MIT USA. The expectations of a professor from the postdoc candidates. What is your career goals? Research project outline. What you are supposed to do if you are hired here. Possible publications, like the kind of publications that I expect, and number, and research group culture. How about your weekly meetings? What is your roles and responsibility? And record keeping, writing reviews, supervisions, and how you need to write external funding. All these things, they will be very clear when you sign the agreement. And what you need to take back from postdoc, there's a checklist also given in MIT. If you say that if you are there for a year, then in research, did you learn any new techniques? Did you learn how to design experiments? Or did you pick any new research questions? And of course, some skills from the supervising area. Writing, did you have a writing practice in terms of grants, research articles, and review papers? Presentation skills, is your presentation skill improved over the period of time that you stayed here? And critical assessment skills, ability to comment on other research projects in your group, how good you are in the group meetings, how good you are in commenting about others' work, and so on. And networking, how to find the peers, working with the team, and writing collaborative projects, and so on. And of course, the career possibilities after completing a postdoc. Do you get the confidence of getting a good position in a reputed institute? If you can fill all these forms, that is going to be an excellent opportunity to be a postdoc, and you did wonderful work to complete a postdoc. And do's and don'ts, this I prepared from my experience, a limited experience that I got, and a lot of information from other friends. Build your CV with your publications, research interest. You need to prove yourself as a dynamic person. If not, postdoc is not your cup of tea. Don't copy others' CV. People are copying CVs. Never ever share your CV with others if they are copying. But you need to share your CV with your elders, the well-wishers, to get corrections, because your CV should not have any flaw. Choose your field guide carefully. Don't apply to irrelevant field. For example, I am a theoretical chemistry person and I should not apply for NMR spectroscopy experimental group. Irrelevant field, irrelevant guide, don't apply. Write a well-written cover letter. Again, don't copy paste any of the emails or sentences. Follow strict deadline and don't promise timelines. I would say that if you give opportunity, my Viva will be over within 2 months and I can join in the month of August. In India, we cannot promise anything, right? Our Viva date will be delayed like anything. So don't promise a lot. Original research proposals, don't plagiarize. Never think of plagiarize content, because plagiarism is a critical, a criminal offense in abroad. Express your skills. Don't give false hope. I do not like coding. Okay, even though I am a theoretical chemist, I do not like coding. So when in the interview I said, I'm so good in these things, and he said, can you work on coding? I said, sir, I'm not interested in coding, first of all. And if you really push, I am really afraid that I can match your expectations. Let S be yes, no be no. Good publication track record, very, very essential. Don't ever, never think of predatory publications. So these are the things that from my own experience, I gave this. I would like to, because I have taken a lot of your time, I guess, but I'll just pick. All the universities will have a postdoctoral office. You see that graduate and postdoctoral studies, postdoctoral fellow office, which will list a lot of career opportunities. You take premier institutions, for example, the top 500 institutes will give this particular office. and they will give the call in that particular page, and very well you can access and you can look for the eligibilities and you can look for the calls. For example, here I have given, I picked this yesterday. So development of novel operational forest monitoring tools and so on. So they'll say that application deadline is given here. Okay, you click here, it will give a list, what is expected from you, what is your eligibility, which professor is heading this particular project, and what is his expectation. If you are eligible, you can contact them and they will schedule a meeting. If they are okay with that, then you can apply for that. Okay, all these things are there. The next one is some of the links that people have asked where we can find. I also found these things yesterday night only. Just Google it, postdocjobs.com. You can look for that. If you are very specific about some countries, there are separate websites available. I'll show that also. Here, findthepostdoc.com. You can click here. All these websites, you can go and create your own username and password, and you can check for the alerts. And if it is in your field, definitely you will get a mail immediately. So you can have a kind of e-alerts in every possible aspects. Definitely you can make use of them. This is a find a postdoc. The academicposition.com. Here also they have given. Stanford Office of Postdoctoral Affairs. As I said, that premier institutions will have the separate office, and here also they have given a lot of other things. And they also gave here, you can see that how to apply open postdoctoral position and what is the cost of living. And they will say that per month 4,000 euro. Whether that 4,000 euro is okay to have a family there, covering all insurance and education of the kids, all other things you can find here in the office, and you can inquire about them in your interview and so on. Okay, here in research in Germany, here I noticed that postdoc at university, you can find that left hand side. I'll just try to mark postdoc at university and postdoc at non-university research institute. Some research institutes, even hospitals will have a postdoc, and postdoc in industry. So postdoc is possible in university, hospital, or a kind of different research institute apart from the university, and the industry is also possible. So you can think of all those things. And this is like postdoc in USA. And this is again an alert. You can enroll yourself, register for free, and get alerts, postdoctoral job interview, and you can get the announcements here in your mail. Science careers from the Shanghai Tech University. This is a national postdoctoral association, again in US. You can think of enrolling yourself in these things. Higher education career, there are a lot of other things, including the postdoc. This is again postdoctoral fellowships, including scientist positions in Europe. Again, there's jobs in Europe, which can serve around like 20 countries. You can find the things here, postdoctoral positions in neuroscience, and all these things we can go for a job alert. So that you can enroll yourself and get the things. I would say that you sit and watch few eligibility calls, compare your CV. If something is missing, you work on that. Office of Postdoctoral Officer, Yale University. They have all the US universities will have the office for postdoctoral affairs. So you can Google it with your institute. If you choose a professor, list top 10 professors in your field and find out the institutions, go to the office for postdoctoral affairs, try to see whether there is a vacancy, you can apply for that. King Abdullah University in Gulf. So all these things are a few links, and I can also share the other links that I have a Word document. I'll share that to Dr. Sobers, and later you can get it from him. So I am going to wind up with that, and I've started with a few questions, and we really look into the same questions again. What is the difference between PhD and postdoc? PhD, mostly you will do under a supervisor. PDF is also under a supervisor, but independent career is ensured in PDF. And the roles and responsibilities are entirely different from the PhD student. No coursework, no official work, no office work, no clerical job. You can devote yourself completely to the research. Can I pursue in India? It's up to you. If you want to do a postdoc in India, yes, you are welcome. And if you want to pursue a postdoc in abroad, the salary is different and the culture is different. Is a postdoc necessary? Again, it's up to you where you want to go. Based on that, you can choose your career. Is there any possibility of online part-time postdoc? No such terminologies available in postdoc. Whether we have to do the same PhD area as a specialization? No. You can shift your gears. You can change your path as long as you convince your professor. Whether guide should be a PDF fellow? No, that is not mandatory. How to approach the professors? A convincing cover letter will make you to get a place in the professor's laboratory. What are the key objectives to be achieved in the first 6 to 12 months? It's up to the supervisor, and it will be clearly mentioned in the interview and in the eligibility or the call. What is expected from postdoctoral fellowship? A completely independent research. As I said, that it's a temporary independent research, and the professional skills should be harvested, and you need to get a permanent position at the end of your postdoc. How do you evaluate your postdoctoral performance? Of course, in terms of publications and patents. Difference between private deemed university and government universities. Your performance matters a lot. It doesn't matter whether it's a private or government. As long as you publish, as long as you prove your track record, definitely you'll have a bright future. Will the period of stay be taken into account for the work experience? I said yes and no. If you are applying to assistant professor job in a college, the postdoctoral experience will not be counted, but that will be counted when you apply for associate professorship, which is not available in the college. But of course, it is available with the higher reputed institutions like IIT, IISER, NITs, central universities, and so on. So I can say that yes and no for that. Will I be able to take my postdoc project with me when I move on? No, it is not a funded project as you think. It is a job. You are working for a concern, you are paid, and you have to deliver the task. How long one can do a postdoc? There is no limit. I can find people with 55 years still as a postdoc, postdoctoral associate, team leaders, different names at different capacity. But I would suggest that at least 3 years of postdoc will be ideal, because in IITs and IISERs and top institutions in India require minimum of 3 years of postdoc experience. So you can keep that in mind and work on that. Can we send the same proposals to different countries, professors simultaneously? Definitely no two professors are doing the same thing. So you need to take some time. You can send similar proposal, but not the same proposals, because sometimes those two fellows are very close to each other. You may not know, and they may discuss about the applicant. If suppose I like your profile, but I don't want to, I don't have a space, and I can recommend immediately this candidate to the other professor. The other professor will also say that, yeah, I also get a candidate named Raja from Chennai. Oh, he sent a proposal to me, the same proposal there. Then if they discuss together, then that's not good. Okay. So that is also there. When you apply to a particular professor, if the professor is so kind, they may say that, okay, this is not my field. I can recommend this to my friend who is in Germany. So if that is the case, then you will be in trouble. So you need to be very careful in that aspect. Okay, I stop at this level. I thank you for this opportunity. I hope I tried my level best to give some information regarding the postdoctoral studies or fellowships. And I take this opportunity to thank the organizers for this wonderful platform to disseminate this content. And I really express my heartfelt gratitude to my mentor, Dr. Mrs. J. Princey Merlin, Head Department of Chemistry, who is my mentor, and I take this opportunity to dedicate this particular discussion to her. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you all. So any questions, I'll be happy to.
Thanks a lot, sir. We were very happy to listen to you. We received very much lot of information from you. I think almost all our queries are answered. Thanks a lot, sir, for your valuable time, spending your valuable time with us. We had a meaningful evening. Thank you, sir. Participants, if you're having any queries, you can post them now.
Excuse me, ma'am. Shall I unmute and ask if it's okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Hello, Dr. Vijay. Thanks for having valuable information on this particular topic to get the postdoctoral position. So it was very informative session actually. Dr. Vijay, actually, I have been trying for Fulbright scholarship in USA. Do you have any idea on this?
Yeah, so when you think about Fulbright, it is like collaboration between the Indian government and the US government.
USA. Yes.
Yeah, so before thinking about that, you need to get a consent letter. If your group, if your the person is top person in that field, definitely the bright chances are there to get the Fulbright.
No, actually, when I approached one professor in USA, they told me that I need to furnish an endorsement certificate to my home institution.
Yeah.
So is it mandatory to submit?
Yes. Because you are working in an institution, right? So you need to give your NOC and endorsement certificate. In the sense, two things. One is like a consent letter or endorsement certificate from that institution and from your institutions. If it is a Indo-US, Indo-German, DAD fellowship, and so on. So the number of fellowships are very limited. If you think about the Indo-Ireland, Indo-German, Indo-Japan, if you have a good CV, and you need to have a very good recommendation from Indian side, because most of the time the applications are scrutinized from Indian side by the Indians, and there will be always a heavy competition. So if you are having a very good profile, definitely you can think of that. But I suggest that you need to look for the eligibility criteria, prepare the documents carefully, and you can check with the earlier Fulbright fellows.
Yeah.
Okay, so
okay, sir. Yeah, maximum you articulated with your presentation in the beginning of your presentation time. I have one more question, sir.
Yes.
See, you told about the draft of proposal, right? So I'm preparing it. So as of now, I'm ready with my CV and SOP, everything. Okay, so now I've been preparing my proposal to be submitted to the professor in USA. Okay. So should I precisely state that what is my research methodology going to be there?
No, because what I suggest that sometime there is a problem. If I give my idea, someone will take up that. That's a general tendency, and we don't want to reveal the entire stuff. So what I suggest that when you approach a professor, and if you want to say that I have a rough idea, I would like to put it in a nutshell, in an abstract way, or in a one-page write-up, you send them, and you look for the call from them, and you two should sit together and discuss and draft a proposal. That would be the case if you are jointly applying. So you need to get inputs from the professor as well as from your side. So you don't want to open everything, and you straight away don't want to go to the climax at the first stroke. What you can say, I'm sharing my rough idea in a few highlighted points or a graphical abstract. Then you try to get a reply from them, then schedule a meeting, explain orally. All these things are possible. So if you sit together and work for the proposal, it would be great.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Any further queries can be asked? Participants, if you have queries, you can ask them now.
Sir, hello, sir.
Yes.
Sir, it's very much interesting and informative session from your side.
Yeah,
thank you so much, sir. I want to know about the opportunities of postdoc for doing in India. What are the opportunities, and what are the organizations which will give us an opportunity for doing postdoc?
All the IITs are offering postdoc position, and for women separately, they are offering break in career fellowship also. So if you want to pursue your postdoc in India, so definitely all the IITs, ICERs, and a few NITs, and I don't think state universities are offering postdoc, but University of Madras is offering postdoc in Chennai. I don't know about the salary package and so on, but it would be good if you find a good place in IIT, ICERs, IAC Bangalore. Again, it depends upon your domain. If your research domain is closely associated with IIT Kanpur, you can go and do that. All the premier institutions, IITs, ICERs, websites you can see, and you can find that.
Sir, I am in the field of education, that is in humanities, and I am working as an assistant professor in Kerala. So do I have to take leave from my job to do this postdoc, and what are the institution which I have to approach for postdoc?
Now, for
Other than
education,
ITs.
yeah, for education, you need to look for our university HRDC centers, human resource development centers, and some people are working in BARC, in the educational domain, science communication. The keywords are science communication. Instead of education, I would say that science communication you can think of. And few people are working on different domains in education. So try to get the education departments in higher institutions. University of Hyderabad, Department of Education. So
okay, sir, thank you.
On the other hand, if you can think about the digital humanities and so on. So there are plenty of opportunities available, but you need to look for the, in India, if you look at that, definitely if it is not IITs and IISERs, you can think of IIMs, Indian Institute of Management, and other engineering institutes and so on.
Okay, sir, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Participants, if you have any further questions, you can pose them. So there are no other questions, sir. Queries are over. So we shall come to the end of the session. I request Dr. R.D. Satya ma'am to deliver the vote of thanks.
Good evening, researchers. We cannot do great things on this earth, only small things with great love. As we express our gratitude, we must never forget that the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live by them. If the only prayer in our whole life was thank you, that always speaks to everyone's heart. I thank our Almighty Lord for still giving us to breathe. I thank our Honorable Principal Sir and respected HOD Sir, who is a source of this wonderful knowledge webinar series. And I thank our co-convener, Dr. R. Jemima ma'am, Associate Professor of our department, and a very special gratitude to our resource person, Dr. R.Vijay Solomon Sir, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, Madras Christian College, who is the virtual hero of this pleasant evening, throwing knowledge on various aspects like how to broaden the research experience in our field, types of PDFs, identification of the research domain, and making us to promote ourselves on research area and so on. Sir, I personally thank you for your immediate and positive response to all of our queries. Thank you, sir. And our sincere thanks and gratitude to all of our staff members of our department for acting directly as well as indirectly for the success of the whole webinar series. Thank you all.
Thank you once again. Thank you for your patient listening.
Thank you, sir. Now the feedback link has been posted. Kindly, dear participants, kindly post your valuable feedbacks. And we come to the end of the session. I once again thank you, sir, for your wonderful presentation. Stay home, stay safe. We are signing off. Thank you.